Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Post podcast. With me, as always, is my co-host, Chris Ronan. We are back at it for the Atlantic Division this episode. We did the Metro last, and we got two more divisions to go. You excited about this one?
Yeah, massive. It's going to be good to look at this this division. There are a lot of teams in here that I don't really think have a fighting chance when I started putting together my list. This could end up, I think, potentially like the West of last season with a 5-3, like we kind of alluded to with Pat on last week. I think that the Metro is a lot better than the Atlantic this time.
Right.
This time around.
Yeah. This I was doing the 1 through 8. One team I think will shock you what I have in my 1 through 8, but it was like exact same with the Metro, where like it was you kind of knew like top 3, and then you knew the like last 2, and then for some reason in the middle you're like, all right, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and I think looking at the standings from last year, you really see it with Buffalo, Detroit, and Ottawa, where they all finished the season within 2 points of each other. So at the end of the day, the seeds and standings don't really matter all that much because that comes down to a coin toss. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter then because they're outside of the playoffs looking in, but this year it could mean a lot. It could be, in versus out.
Right. Yeah. Again, we don't know at all. We have no idea. All it takes is for like one of these teams that were just like, these guys are going first, and then 2 of the greatest players that just like go out with some kind of injury and then just fall apart. So.
And even one extra win flips the standings in that sense too. You can jump 2 seeds by getting one more win over the next guy.
It's insane how everything could just, switch in the blink of an eye.
Yeah.
But you want to get started with this?
Let's do it.
8 beautiful teams, and we're going to start off with the Boston Bruins here. They were 4th in the Atlantic with a 51-26-5 record, 107 points, 6th in the East, and 10th in the league last season. Their head coach is now Jim Montgomery, replacing Bruce Cassidy. They lost 3 players: Antoine Blid, Curtis Lazar, Eric Haller. Then they signed Patrice Bergeron, Pavel Zacha, and David Krejci, and they had one trade where they traded Eric Haller to the New Jersey Devils in exchange for Pavel Zacha. Not many offseason moves here, but I think the ones that Boston Bruins fans and maybe the Bruins wanted. We wanted Patrice Bergeron back, and the Bruins fans got their David Krejci back. And they didn't really do much after that.
Yeah, I think the story of this season is honestly going to be when are their starters coming back from injury. We have Brad Marchand, Charlie McAvoy, and Matt Grzyk all out to start the season, and a few of those guys are actually missing a lot of time to start the season. So, I mean, that's honestly probably 3 of your starting 5 players on the ice. You know what I mean? Starting 6. Mm-hmm. And I think, honestly, the Krejci coming back, I don't know. We'll see what that's going to be. I think it's definitely helpful to have more depth down the middle, but after, sitting out a year, yes, he did play overseas, but it's not the same league over there. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Is he going to be missing a step? What do you think?
I don't know. I think the Bruins are going to be having a hard time here. Brad Marchand, the rat that he is, was getting stuff done. He had 32 goals last season, 48 assists, which was team best. So getting it done on both ends. So that's a rough guy, especially when you haven't made that many offseason moves. It's a hard guy to miss in the beginning of a season.
Yeah, I think, your goaltending tandem is going to be looking pretty solid on the back end with Allmark and Swayman. I think they got the job done last year, did pretty good. Mm-hmm. The Zacha and Haller trade, I think, is definitely an upgrade because you have Zacha playing on your top line, winging with Bergeron. DeBruski seems to be pretty happy on that first line, too. He's producing now. Doesn't really want out anymore. And then that second line, man, I think it's going to be sneaky good. Hall, Krejci, and Pastrnak. I think that's really going to be... I think that could be what makes or breaks this team, though. If that line isn't good, that spells disaster for the team.
Right. That's just like Eric Hall last season for the Boston Bruins. Just sneaky good all of a sudden. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, you're just like, where the hell did you come from?
And I hope Hampus Lindholm looks good coming off of the concussion protocol. I don't necessarily know if he was injured with it. I know he missed a couple games because of it in the playoffs last year, but I'd like to see where this guy's contract and signing takes him on this team.
Right. The Bruins wanted him. As soon as we got him, that was like the 8-year contract or something big that he got. And so we still haven't seen like what Hampus Lindholm can do with the Boston Bruins organization, but I don't know. Apparently, he's their guy.
I think the real reason that they wanted him wasn't because of him per se. I think it was because of how weak the defenseman market was, and he was kind of the top ticket guy. As weird as that sounds, like he was probably the biggest name that was available as a defenseman, and for us to land him was pretty big. I'd say. Big.
It's funny how the Bruins kind of go for these guys like big names, but like not big in the league. Mm-hmm. Like you've all heard of Hampus Lindholm, great player, but Bruins target those guys, like the
just
sneaky
outside
good
of the
guys.
star. It's like the B level celebrity, you know. It's not
Yeah.
like the A team, you know.
Mhm.
But I think they can get more out of those kind of players than bringing in the A guy. And I think honestly, another big question mark this season will be what Jim Montgomery does with this
Can
team.
do. Yep.
Yeah, I think there's stirrings, and where there's smoke, there's fire when it comes to the Bruce Cassidy things. But regardless, Cassidy's one of the best coaches in the league, and to move on from him, it's going to shake things up in the locker room. So let's see where it takes him.
Right. Again, Bruce Cassidy gone. Probably the reason why David Krejci came back. And for all the Bruins fans, this is probably the last season with the Patrice Bergeron and maybe even David Krejci. So they want that playoff run. They want maybe a good Stanley Cup run, you know?
Yeah, and not to, I guess paint one house red and one house blue. It kind of reminds me of the Pittsburgh Penguins in the sense where they're getting the gang back together and they got the old team. I heard rumors of Lucic. We still haven't seen anything develop on that, but that could just be people trying to will something into fruition.
The back to 2011 Bruins.
But yeah, maybe the Bruins do look a little older than they should, and maybe that's a bad thing. But if you want to get to it, I have them slotted in as the 4 seed in their division.
Oh, 4th seed?
4th seed.
I bumped them up a little. 3rd seed.
3rd seed? Okay.
Yep.
And that's compared to last season where they finished 4th. Behind Florida, Toronto, Tampa, and then the Bruins. So.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I had something on the Patrice Bergeron here because I think this is going to be his last season. If he does another season, I'd be shocked. But fun fact, last season, this guy, it goes to show you how incredible Patrice Bergeron is. Just a talented player overall.
Can I jump in? You really think that he's not going to come back?
I think the fact that he got a 1 season, just 1 year deal here, I think might be his way. I'd be like, I'm going to fill it out one more season. And
I think that's the team's way of saying, like, we're going to give you one more year and then we'll evaluate at the end of the year. I think it's the mutual ground where he could have wanted 2 and the team's like, hell no, like, we're not going to give you 2. You're getting older. Like, he's still performing. He's still producing. He's not at the level Char is at.
Mm-hmm.
He's, in the running for the Selke Award every year. So I don't see him going out if he's still performing at the same level he is.
Right. And that's kind of going back to what his stats for last season. So yeah, hopefully, yeah, kind of agreeing with you on that. So last season he was 25 goals and 40 assists. He's actually number 1 in NHL history in faceoff wins. He's had 1,600 total faceoffs with a 61.9% win percentage. Leon Draisaitl, ironically, is second with 1,661 faceoffs with a 53.4% win percentage. So 53.4 to 61.9. It's just insane how good this dude is on the faceoff dot.
Yeah.
And he's just, you want this guy in insane situations where you're on the power play. It's a good game. You want this point, and here he is, just like taking that face off, and you have that 60% chance of winning it.
And that's what makes me think he's head and shoulders above the next guy. You're gonna have to drag him off the ice, kicking and screaming, before he just says, "I'm gonna ride off into the sunset." That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you're gonna. How about David Pastrnak now? Is he still gonna be the guy that he is?
It really depends on how that line clicks, because now it's shaken up a little bit. Like I think part of the rumblings with Cassidy had to do with Pastrnak, but if this is the line that he wanted the whole time, he wanted to play on Krejci's line, which is the rumor.
Right.
And now if it doesn't really work, it's kind of like, well, what do you know, really? You know what I mean? Like, why are you complaining?
Right. And Pastrnak wasn't happy a few weeks ago. Didn't he put out something about it? Be like, hey, listen, I've been doing this for years and I'm not winning anything. What am I doing?
Yeah, and I think that's just like frustration with how close they've come and how close they are. They're always, in the running. They could be that team, and there's just something that keeps them from getting over that hump.
Right. They're missing a few pieces there.
I don't like. It's almost not even that though. Like Game 7 Stanley Cup Finals, you get there, and you can't say that like a few pieces is what's going to win you one game. Like they have the pieces. I think they've been there. They can get there. It just doesn't happen all the time. I don't know what it is, but I don't know.
All right. And to top this all off, goalie situation. Tuukka Rask came back, retired. So now it's full-blown. We're going to have a full season. Jeremy Swayman, Linus Ullmark. How are you feeling about these two?
I also think that the Rask situation may have screwed the team in their prospect that was Dan Vladar. If they knew that Rask was coming back just to retire, they wouldn't have traded Vladar away, I don't think. They may have gone into next season with the Vladar-Swayman combo, but they said, hey, let's sell high on this guy. We have Rask coming back this season. He's going to be hopefully normal. And then you have Swayman as a backup, and then Ullmark Ullmark as a backup and Swayman to plug the the holes until Rask is back.
Allmark surprising me right now. I looked up his stats, and I think it was as good as I thought it was. 2.45 GAA, 7th best in the league, and also 7th best in the league with a .917 save percentage. And then to move on to Jeremy Swayman here, he was 4th best in the league with a 2.41 GAA. So they're both getting it done. They just got to hug it out at the end of every game.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's the glue that keeps your friends together, right?
Mm-hmm, that's it. Maybe we should hug it out at the end of the episode.
No, that's okay.
Okay, we'll just keep doing nips.
Yeah.
Yep.
That sounds good to me.
All right, so I have the Bruins 3rd, and you got them 4th.
Yeah.
Okay, this will be interesting to see what happens.
We're gonna tell you guys where they stand at the end of each breakdown, and then at the end we'll recap our 1 through 8 and discuss a little bit more in depth.
Mm-hmm. So let's move on here. We got the Buffalo Sabres. They were 5th in the Atlantic with the 32-39-11 record, which is 75 points. 11th in the East and 24th in the league. Their head coach is Don Granato. They lost goalie Aaron Dell, goalie Dustin Tokarski, Drake Kagula, Will Butcher, Colin Miller, Mark Pesek, Mark Jankowski, John Hayden. They signed goalie Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. There we go. Victor Olofsson and goalie Eric Comrie. And they also signed Ilya Lyubushkin. Their trades this offseason, they traded future considerations to the Dallas Stars in exchange for goalie Ben Bishop and 2022 7th-round pick. Their 7th-round pick was Joel Radkoff Bernstein from the Swedish juniors. This guy, every time I see Ben Bishop here, I'm like, this dude is just always injured. So why are we picking up Ben Bishop here?
That was basically like a contract dump from the Stars to the Sabres, and they did that in order to basically, I want to say, take up more cap space because of how little they paid their guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say that there's going to be almost like another shoot-a-fall or some kind of like goodwill that they're getting from the Dallas Stars in this regard. You know what I mean? But I think like where they can, spend a little more money to eat up that contract space and make some other moves happen. Right. I think that's the real goal here. Mm-hmm. But looking at this team, I am not overly impressed. A guy like Jeff Skinner needs to become the next, Jack Eichel for this team. He needs to fill those shoes quickly, and he seems to have struggled for a little bit, but this last year he seemed to have done a little better for himself. Alex Tuck is another guy that's coming off injury from last season. I think he's going to have to step up a lot on this team.
Yeah.
And Owen Power is actually going to get thrown to the Wolves here, I think, and really be playing, quick NHL minutes and playing a lot of time in front of Craig Anderson and Eric Comrie on the roster here. So I don't have very high hopes for this team. I want the turnaround to go quickly. But
you're missing a key player here, Tage Thompson, getting it done. 38 goals, which is team most, and 30 assists, tied for team second most. Actually, that was his career high stats last season. So Tage Thompson as well. Add him to the list with Jeff Skinner.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I got a few guys getting it done. Again, just a team that's coming up. It's not Buffalo Sabres, not like a Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning, Toronto team. They're a team just still coming up.
And they don't have guys on their team that I hate or guys on the team that are like underproducing. It's just not working right now, and I think they just need time to get it all together and put the pieces together correctly, because like a Tage Thompson, Casey Middlestat, and Dylan Cousins up the middle, that all looks really good. That's great on paper, I think, and they could compete a little bit, but I don't have too much more to say on this team.
Yeah, Buffalo was like really on the like low pace last season. Remember that? And then, like, all of a sudden, a little after midway through, they went on, like, this 10-game, maybe skid, where just, like, they won, kind of picking up the pace here, figuring shit out. I don't know. I want to see Buffalo come up here. Goalie issue, I guess, to Dustin Tokarski getting rid of, like, their two goalies there. And so you got Craig Anderson, 42 years old, 42 years of age.
I think
Eric
he's surpassed Chara as the oldest player in the league since he hasn't had a contract yet, right?
Wow.
So Eric Comrie,
you are like relying on a 42-year-old. Not saying anything bad about Craig Anderson here, but I don't know. Like at this point, when we've been talking about hockey just in general, like young is the way to go. Young,
and I also think when you look at a guy that's 42 that plays net, think about how much the game has changed since 24 years ago when he came into the league. You know what I mean? Like the entire position has like completely shifted and changed, and just everything in general. Things that your body could have learned at a younger age, can't adjust, and even just wear and tear of hips and knees,
There's a mic'd up, he's got a mic'd up video the Buffalo Sabres put up, I think just recently, they're in practice, And just kind of watching him, you're just like, this guy barely goes down. Like, he's just kind of like a stand-up goalie. I mean, you could get it done, but look at like the top goalies now, like Andrei Vasilevsky, RVH, full splits, just getting it done. Can Craig Anderson do that? No. If there's a like dire situation where he needs to make that stretch across save, I don't think Craig Anderson can get it done. You know, all it might need to be is just like a pass across the crease and just a little tap in on Craig Anderson there. So now you're relying on defense to cover that guy.
Yeah,
That's my thought.
I think if you're paying a guy to be your starting goalie, I would hope that he's able to push across the crease and compete at the level that he needs to. Otherwise, it's going to be a gong show.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I do think there is something to the age factor and not, moving on to something, shiny, bright, new, and, getting the guys going. But surprisingly enough, I'm taking this team from the 5th seed all the way down to the bottom. They're in the 8th slot for me.
Okay.
And I mean, they, like we talked about too, they only finished in that fifth seed by 2 points. They could have been 7th, and the Montreal Canadiens were cursed last year with injuries and everything. So I think that the Sabres are going to be the worst team in this division next year.
Okay.
Where do you have them slotting in at?
I got them slotting in as 4th.
4th, wow.
Yeah.
So they potentially could be making the playoffs.
Yeah, I like Eric Comrie. I think he didn't get the starts he needed or deserved in Winnipeg Jets, but when he was starting, when he had the starts with Winnipeg, he looked really good. So a great backup for Craig Anderson. Craig Anderson, just a veteran guy that can help Eric Comrie come up. And I think they have a bunch of guys, a bunch of names here that coming up. What if Owen Power just comes out of nowhere? He only played 8 games last season, but this is his first full NHL season.
Yeah, he could be the next Moritz Seider.
Right. So add that. Maybe Owen Power comes in and just lights it up. They have these guys. Maybe Alex Tuck. Last season was his second career highest season that he's had statistic wise. So I don't know. I feel like Buffalo Sabres are definitely more on the rise than you think.
I just think it's a lot of maybes, it's a lot of question marks, and it smells a lot like the Ottawa Senators from a few years ago when they had some puzzle pieces that they were really banking on to click. And I don't know. That's just my take on it, and I'm not getting burned by it again.
I guess we're gonna find out come at the end of the season next season.
So right now you have Boston in the 3 seed and Buffalo in the 4, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. I'm just gonna keep up with you as we go.
Sounds good. So let's move on here to another team that we've talked about that's definitely on the rise, and I think Stevie Yzerman has been doing a fantastic job. The Detroit Red Wings here, they were 6th in the Atlantic with a 32-40-10 record, 74 points, 12th in the East and 25th in the league. The head coach is Derek Lalonde, replacing Jeff Blashill. They lost Riley Barber, Turner Elson, Sam Gagner, goalie Thomas Greiss, Dan Renouf, Mark Stahl, and goalie Calvin Pickard. They signed Jake Wallman and Mark Pescic, Philip Zadina, Andrew Kopp, Ben Sherratt, Dominic Kubalik, David Perron, and Olli Mata. Some top names right there. The notable UFAs is actually Danny DeKeyser. He had 11 assists last season. Danny DeKeyser, I think, has been a solid player for the Detroit Red Wings. Maybe 11 assists last season might not be enough, but I thought he was a great player all around. For trades, the Red Wings traded their 2022 third-round pick to the St. Louis Blues in exchange for goalie Ville Husso. So adding some depth goalie-wise with Ville Husso. Ville Husso was getting the job done. Binnington was kind of shit in the bed there in St. Louis Blues last season, and Ville Husso was up there to bring on the task. So great pickup here for the Detroit Red Wings. How you feeling about this? How you feeling about Stevie Yzerman?
I think Stevie Yzerman's the man with the plan. He really knows his scouting team. He knows his, young prospects very well. He'll take a chance on a guy that he really thinks can get the job done. I feel like he can see an it factor in a player off the ice and in their personality more than any other GM in the league. Mm-hmm. The only other person I would compare it to is maybe like a Bill Guerin in Minnesota. Like, I think those two guys just kind of are like the model GMs, and I think this is the year that this team needs to make the next step. These young players that he's giving these opportunities and giving the ice time to. I'm looking at their daily face-off now. They have 6 players on their roster, like starting lineup, that don't have, numbers listed. So he's very willing to throw a guy in and give an opportunity. Andrew Kopp, David Perron, he's got veteran presence, he's got size, he's got speed, he's got youth. Mm-hmm. This team has a little bit of everything. I think the only question mark is going to be goaltending. Little weird. Husso and Nedeljkovic. I think that's two other goalies around the league that maybe he thinks they have that it factor. They are the young guys that kind of proved themselves on the teams they were on before, and then he sees that, picks them up, and buys high on them. And, it kind of seems unorthodox to not have, I guess, a proven goaltender in at least one of your two spots. But I think this is the year that they really need to prove it, and I think that this is going to be a good year for the Detroit Red Wings.
We talk about the 1A, 1B, and I don't think this is it because both of these goalies, Ville Husso and Alex Nedeljkovic, are both just solid backups. So, again, just good goalies, but we're looking at 2A, 2Bs here with these guys. So
yeah, I mean, I see like starter, right? So you have either starter, backup, and you have 1A, 1B. I see these two guys as backup.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. They have the defense here. Picking up Ben Sherratt from the Panthers last season is going to be huge. Moritz Seider, he's got to keep those wheels turning just like he did last season here. Moritz Seider actually most rookies in the NHL in assists last year, which was 43, and 50 points for fourth most among rookies in the NHL. And again, if we want to go back to the Buffalo Sabres, Owen Power, this is throughout his first NHL season. So I don't know, maybe.
I think teams are realizing every team needs a Cale Makar and Adam Fox, a blue line just wizard. You know what I mean? A forward on the blue line that is defensively responsible as well.
Right.
And I think that the Moritz Seider here and the Owen Power there are the two, it factors for these teams, and creates a locker room presence and a blue line presence that the team definitely needs.
Right. I mean, I don't know. I'm loving watching this Detroit team come up. I like seeing what Stevie Yzerman's doing. I mean, we want to go back to one of the numbers that's not even on there, and it's defenseman Simon Edvinsson, who hasn't played an NHL game yet. He last year played for Frölunda HC in Sweden last season. So just a guy that's like, I'm gonna throw you right in and see what you can do.
And even a guy like Pius Suter, a guy you don't even think of, but he's young, he's kind of new to the league, and he's going to get his minutes and his ice time here, and he's not going to be, reprimanded and sat on the bench for screwing up.
Right.
Seeing him as a third line center, like, I don't know. There's just a lot of like good young players on this team, and that's why I put them in the 5 seed here.
Okay.
I actually just last minute flipped them with Ottawa too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I got them in the 5 seed.
So add a different coach too to that. Derek Lalonde coming into a team that's in the middle of a rebuild, I would say. Not rebuilding, but in the middle of a rebuild. I would say that. But I have Detroit Red Wings in 6th place, which is the exact same place they were in last season. So.
And now, is that because you don't think they got better or worse, or is that because you think everyone else got better or worse around them? Like, do you think the team is going to be the same, or do you think teams around them just got better or worse?
I think there's 2 teams that got better around them, and 2 teams that I think just stayed low.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, so they kind of maintained their spot.
And they kind of maintain their spot. I think Detroit Red Wings they're coming up, but because
best
there's
of
a
the
few
worst.
Teams, yeah, exactly. So they're just kind of stuck in the middle there.
Yeah,
but that's not bad. That's not saying that's bad.
I think I might have went a little heavy looking at these forwards. I was like, yeah, I think this team has what it takes. So I bumped them up a peg from where I initially had them on my list. But yeah,
what do you have on the list? Sorry,
I have them in the 5 seed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had them 6 initially, just like you, and I just flip-flopped a little bit.
Moved them up a little?
Yeah.
Okay. You never know. I can't wait. I think we did this last season where you brought it up, what we had our picks. And I remember you said, I can't remember what the hell I said, Vegas Golden Knights for first overall, like the season. I was like, what? Why the hell did I pick that? It's going to be crazy to see in next year, basically.
Also, a little side piece. I have a 7 a.m. flight tomorrow morning heading out to Vegas for a bachelor party, 4-day long weekend. I bought those 4 future bets on the NHL. I don't think I'm going to bet any more NHL while I'm out there, but opening weekend for the NFL, the first game was actually tonight. The Bills and Rams played. But I think Sunday I'm going to put some money on the Pats, regardless of if I think they're going to win or lose, just because we're going to watch the Pats game and we're going to be cheering for the Pats anyway, so throw some money on them. If they win, it's great. If not, we're already upset because they lost, so it's fine. There goes the money. And then I think I'm also going to put a wager down on the Florida and Georgia college football game, too, because I'm going to be going down to Florida for that game, too.
Is that blind, or do you know anything about college football?
No, nothing.
Just a blind bet.
Yeah, I think it's more like I'm cheering for the team anyways, so if there's money on the line too, and I just back whatever team that I'm cheering for,
Let's go for it.
it's a little more like reason for me to cheer for them, you know what I
Right.
mean, right?
Mhm.
Because I have no dog in the fight, no pun intended, when it comes to the Georgia Bulldogs and the Florida Gators.
Right.
I personally don't like the Gators because there's all that stuff with Aaron Hernandez and like there's a bunch of shady shit that went down when he was on the team and like the players that were there, but
Yeah.
I digress. I'm getting way off the rails.
Way off the
but
rails.
I'm just excited to go to that game and throw a couple bucks on them, and if I win, I'll send
Nice.
I'll send it back out to Vegas and cash it in.
Nice. Good man. Yeah, you're going to have to let me know what Vegas is like. I think I was telling you about this. I wonder if the Vegas Golden Knights kind of popped open a bigger hockey community there.
Well, the Oakland Raiders in the NFL just moved to Vegas as well, so there's a giant
Whoa.
NFL stadium there too, and that goes back to what we talked about with the Coyotes trying to build a stadium. The Raiders building their stadium, they had to go through all the airport restrictions and stuff. Remember when Arizona was creating all the plans to build their stadium? They were like, well, the planes fly here and there and all those kind of different logistical things they were thinking of. The Raiders went through all that. They have this wild facility. It almost looks like a giant black, almost UFO that's just on the ground, but
Really?
it's just very oddly shaped. It's like it curves in and then out at the top,
Oh,
but it's just
interesting.
giant and black, and I like the Raiders a lot, so
Interesting.
yeah.
Going back to Arizona State University, I show you the thing that their ticket sales jumped up 50%.
Yeah, we talked about that, 3 months ago when we said that they're the most expensive tickets in the NHL because there's half as many
Half
seats.
as many seats,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of crazy. But let's move on. Let's keep the train moving here. So going from the Detroit Red Wings, we're going to jump right to the Florida Panthers. And so from like middle to first overall. So the Florida Panthers, they were first in the Atlantic with a 58-18-6 record, 122 points. First in the East and first in the league. Their head coach, Paul Maurice, replaces interim Andrew Brunette. So the Florida Panthers lost Nola Chari, Ben Chirot, Claude Giroux, Robert Hagg, Mason Marchment, Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, and Cole Schwint. Oof. They signed Colin White, Nick Cousins, Mark Stahl, Rudolphs Balsers, Matthew Tkachuk. Their notable UFA, just for me, really, is just Joe Thornton. The fact that he's still UFA, we might see a retired Joe Thornton coming up soon, or another pickup. I don't know.
There's been a couple signs that have been like kind of trickling in, but like, I don't know. It's getting down to the wire, man.
Right. So we'll see what happens. They have one trade here. The Panthers traded Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, Cole Schwint, and a conditional 2025 first-round pick to the Calgary Flames in exchange for Matthew Tkachuk and a conditional fourth-round pick in 2025, the big trade that happened this offseason. How are we looking here? I feel like they lost more than they've gained here, and big names lost and very little gain.
Yeah, I almost see, we talked about it back when the trade happened, the Huberdeau and Tkachuk trade. It's almost like the same skill level player, but in a different role.
Mhm.
And I just think like the assets that you sold away to get this thing, I don't know. Maybe it's a play for the long run. I don't see the President's Trophy in their future this year.
Nope.
I don't see them winning the division in this year either,
Nope.
personally. I have them taking a little bit of a step back, but I still think that they have a talented roster that's going to be able to compete and, be a presence in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I kind of just want to show you what I have. I really, really dropped them.
Really, that much?
Yeah, I did. But it do be like that. So let's actually talk about their roster here before we really get into that. So I do want to bring up Anthony Duclair here. He's injured and out with surgery after after he popped his Achilles tendon. He had career high 31 goals and 27 assists last season. He is expected to miss the first half of the season. So add another player, a big player that's just gonna miss out for half of the season. So this is gonna be a total different Florida Panthers team that we compared to last season. So
I think it's going to be a very similar team, but with different faces.
Yeah.
That's what I think. And I don't think that they're going to be, the best team in the league like they were last year.
right.
But they're still going to be one of the better teams in the league, is my opinion.
Yeah, they'll still be up there, but I don't think we're going to see the absolute powerhouse tank the Florida Panthers were last year. I think the fact that they lost, what are we looking at here? Marchment, Huberdeau, Weegar. Huberdeau, just to name one of the top guys there, too. Ben Chirot, great defenseman. They lost, huge defenseman, Huberdeau, Weegar. I thought when this trade happened, and I originally thought that I think Calgary was like. I remember at first I was like, "Wow, Florida Panthers got this great player, just huge Matthew Tkachuk." And now looking back, I think Calgary Flames kind of like stole from the Florida
no,
Panthers.
Calgary fleeced them in that deal. They got so much more from one star,
that's
whereas
what I'm saying.
Florida is trading away the 1 star and then a lot more. But I don't know. I think that they filled enough to be a stopgap, and they've really trusted in their scouting roster, their training camp. Like Mark Stahl ended up making the roster off of a PTO. And I just think that they seem to rely heavily on what they have versus what they've lost. You know what I mean? And they seem to think that that's going to be the way to go. I think they expect Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight to really be a good tandem this year. Once Anthony Duclair comes back, that's really what's going to like give them another step up. Because by the time that he comes back, if the team is performing well and has maintained, I don't know, let's call it a 65-70% win percentage. Duclair comes back, he's going to bump that up to a 75, I think. Just him alone. He's that good of a player.
Right.
And yeah, I don't think it's as bad as it seems. And I have them slotting in the 2 seed.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. I want to go back before I say mine too. Spencer Knight had a kind of a rough season last season. Stats really don't show it, especially when you're in a team like the Florida Panthers, but I think you'd definitely notice it if he was on any other team, which means Bobrovsky's the guy. So you need a good backup for this team, especially the way it's looking now. And Spencer Knight kind of needs to pump his tires here and get things rolling like he should be or used to be. But yeah, great tandem here, regardless. Sergei Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight. I do like this. Radko Gudas, Gudas, nice, cool. There we go. So
I love it. Let's go.
Yeah, I love Gudas. I love that trade. I love Sam Reinhart. From the Buffalo Sabres. Yeah, I think that was a just great pickup for the Florida Panthers. Sam Bennett. I don't know. It's like this is kind of different now that we're thinking. Now I was gonna bring it up, but I'm like, no, there's kind of a difference here. We talked about the Columbus Blue Jackets last week with Johnny Hockey there coming over, thinking like, is this one guy going to make a difference? And I thought the same thing with Matthew Tkachuk, but then I'm kind of looking at the roster, I'm like, not really. He's just Matthew Tkachuk is not really going to be that one guy that's going to make a difference. He's that one guy that's in a mix of like a bunch of different guys. It's going to make a big difference for the Florida Panthers.
I think this team has a lot of guys that are going to piss people off. Like Sam Bennett gets under your skin in the playoffs. I think these guys are building for the playoffs and not for the regular season, and that's really all that matters. Like if they can qualify, they have a shot at winning the cup. You know what I mean? Like a good chance. The only thing that I want to jump back to with Spencer Knight, now this is going to be a hot take. I like Spencer Knight. I think he's a very good goalie, but being the top prospect as a goalie, we've seen how that kind of hinders and hurts other top prospect goalies. Like, say, Malcolm Subban. Is Spencer Knight going to be the next Malcolm Subban?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, Malcolm was, I think, taken in the first round, one of, like, the only goalies to be taken, that high. And I just
got bossed around.
Yeah, and I think maybe, I don't think Spencer Knight's going to get bounced around, but maybe he feels that spotlight and that pressure, and maybe that's affecting his play.
I do feel like Malcolm Subban was kind of just like a Carter Hart, where they were both brought in. Carey Price too. All of them were brought in to be these in-net gods. When in reality, I feel like, especially for the Boston Bruins' sake, Malcolm Subban needed to stay in Providence for a little while and just like get those games under him, mature down there. Instead, the Bruins are just like, we got to rush you up here. Same thing with Carey Price. They threw him right into the Wolves. Carter Hart, they threw him incredibly bad into the Wolves, and that's why.
Well, no, that first season they had a good team. They were looking pretty good. I think they made playoffs the first season he was in net, and I think they got bounced in the first round. But I think it's different for every guy. But I think you're absolutely right. Mm-hmm. There's a certain line,
right, and then you just end up this goalie that just got bounced around because the organization you were with didn't take the time to mature you down in the barn. Or
I think as a goalie, your stock is so easy to inflate and deflate because you're not a player and you're not on a line where you have other players that impact and affect your play. At the end of the day, like there's only one person in the net, whereas on a forward line, you're one of three. On a defensive pair, you're one of two, and you can rely and lean on the other guy. You can shade a little bit, and not to blame, but when you're in contract negotiations, you can blame a little bit on like, well, he was playing with this line, he's only getting this amount of ice time. You can spin the numbers any way you want. As a goalie, you're kind of isolated, and your play is your play. Yeah, the team isn't great in front of you for certain guys, but as a goalie, you're on an island. That's just the position.
Okay, yeah, I'm with you on that. But I'm going to go to what I have him on, and it might surprise you. I got him 5th in the Atlantic.
That is such a drop, dude. You think the President's Trophy... I think they ended up losing it to Colorado last year, right? President's Trophy won the Cup last year, too, which is shocking. That never happens. Right? Colorado did win the President's Trophy, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double-check that right now.
Oh, I thought that was Florida.
Florida ended up stealing it from him?
I think
122?
So.
Yeah, I think you might be right. The Avalanche did not win the President's Trophy. The Florida Panthers did. So you have the President's Trophy when it's dropping from 1st seed down to 5th, huh?
Yeah.
Outside of the playoffs, potentially. They could sneak in as a 5-3.
And it goes back to, we're going to be talking about them soon. It goes back to what we talked about with the Tampa Bay Lightning, especially you were talking about it last season, where you're just like, this is a team that's just built on playoffs. All they need to do is make playoffs.
This is going to bite you in the ass, I'm telling you right now. You have Buffalo finishing 4th and Florida finishing 5th.
Yep.
You're not going to be happy. You're going to kick yourself at the end of this season.
Or I'm going to be patting myself on the back.
Yeah, right, dude. No chance. No.
That's why we got the Buffalo Sabres jersey in the back. I'm ready to go.
All right, wait. So maybe post picks right here. Do the Florida Panthers make playoffs this year?
Ooh.
Because you have them out of the playoffs statistically. Potentially in if it's a 5-3,
Right.
5 from the Atlantic and 3 from the Metro.
Right.
But we just talked about how the Metro seemed to be stronger than the Atlantic this season.
Ooh, do they make it?
Is that what you want? We don't have to do that for post picks, but it's just something that when they're 5th and I have them 2nd, it's an easy one. We can circle back if you want to see if we come up to a better pick.
We'll circle back. That'll be a hard one. Because I feel like, now that you brought that up, I'm like, I kind of feel like they will make the playoffs, but where I have them slotted. Now you got me questioning myself here. But, you ready to go from first to last, bud?
Let's do it.
All right. So, dead last here, the Montreal Canadiens, 8th in the Atlantic with a 22-49-11 record, 55 points. They were 16th in the East and 32nd, which is dead last in the league. The head coach, Marty St. Louis, replaces Dominique Ducharme. So the players they lost were Laurent Dauphin, William Lagesson, Alexander Romanoff, Shea Weber, Jeff Petrie, and Ryan Poling. They signed goalie Sam Montembeault, Rem Pitlick, Kirby Dach, and goalie Caden Primo. For the trades they had a couple here. The Canadiens traded Shea Weber to the Vegas Golden Knights in exchange for Yevgeny Dadonov. Then they traded Alexander Romanoff and the 2022 4th-round pick to the New York Islanders in exchange for the 2022 1st-round pick. That pick was Philip Mazar from Slovakia. The Canadiens traded Jeff Petrie and Ryan Poling to the Pittsburgh Penguins in exchange for Mike Matheson and a 2023 4th-round pick. And they also traded future considerations to the Calgary Flames in exchange for Sean Monahan and a conditional first-round pick in 2025. These trades are good. These trades are looking like the Canadiens. Man.
This makes me want to make another change, dude. That sounds so good on paper.
Right.
Oh,
These Canadiens just looking like they definitely looking for picks in the future. They're trying to rebuild this organization, which they should, which is exactly what the fuck they need. They need to just rebuild altogether. But the picks they made up, too, are just fantastic way to bring it up. It's not like the Toronto Maple Leafs trying to be an all-around team, I think.
This team is now officially the island of misfit toys. You have Mike Hoffman, who I didn't even know was on this roster on your first line, Jonathan Drouin, Evgeny Dadonov, Kirby Dach. Like, it's just so wild to see these names all kind of put together onto one roster. Like Joel Edmondson, Chris Weidman, and I mean Montembeault and Jake Allen in net. That doesn't scream success to me either.
Yeah.
It's nothing against those two guys. It's just it's such a weird roster to look at on paper.
Yeah.
But when you just rattled off those trades and those moves, that's a net positive big time for the Canadiens. They are going to definitely take a step up this season, I think.
Well, let's go back to Jonathan Drouin here because he's not been looking good for the past two seasons here. So hasn't been able to play a full NHL season since 2018-2019 due to various injuries as well as having taken a leave of absence to deal with anxiety issues. He made his return to the lineup last season and would once again be absent from action after undergoing wrist surgery. He had 6 goals and 14 assists in 34 games played. So when he comes back this season, this will be his first full NHL season in 2 seasons. So hopefully he can come back, especially with everything going on.
Yeah, I liked him a lot too as a player. I would like to see him have a successful, healthy, full year, get that under his belt, and even make an impact in the locker room too. I think he's one of those guys that I look at. There's not a lot of veteran presence on this team, and I think he should be one of those guys to take over this locker room a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a Cole Caulfield, Nick Suzuki on your top line, like, they're not going to be guys to step up in the room and have their voice cracking and telling you all about, like,
right.
Let's go team, But I think those guys will put the puck in the net. They just need someone behind them cracking the whip a little bit,
Yeah. I get the organization. I get the team. They were just surrounded by people getting injured, just out in general. Carey Price will not be playing this season whatsoever. But we have a lot of, like, I wouldn't say a lot, but a good amount of career lows here. Like, Christian Dvorak had a career low 11 goals last season. And then Brendan Gallagher, big dude, only 7 goals, which is a career low for him, and 17 assists, which is a third career low. They need these guys to really start getting their shit together and pump out.
Yeah, and I don't think that there's any one thing that you can point at on this team and say that's the reason why they were as bad as they were. I think when you highlight the career lows, it looks worse on paper than it is.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a bad team, a bad mix. It was just wild last season. These guys got hosed almost as bad as the New York Islanders, I'll say.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that this year they can actually be an NHL team rather than an AHL team like they were last year. So
right.
it'd be nice to see. I'd like to see a full season out of Kirby Dach, too. Dadonov on his line, that's going to be impressive to me. I do like that third line a lot. Like, Dach, Dadonov, and Gallagher, if those 3 guys can click and get it together, that can be a very successful line. That could potentially be a second line on any other team in the league, I'll say.
And we'd like to see more from Gold Caulfield here.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see him keep going. Rem Pitlick. Rem Pitlick was signed. I don't think on there he was on the roster, but I think we're going to see him be slotted into the roster somewhere too. Rem Pitlick has just been a solid guy. I was watching a few highlights of him today, this afternoon, I should say, and he knows where to be. He knows just the open spots, can get that pass and score. His stats might not fully show up, but when you watch his highlights, you understand just his presence on the ice. So I think just a great guy to have.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know of Tyler Pitlick a lot. I don't really know too much about Rem Pitlick.
Yeah. So hopefully he gets on the roster, or they're going to send him down to the barn. But regardless, it was a good sign by the Canadians, and I think that.
Hey, if anything, he's going to fill in any of the injuries that they have this season, because there were a lot last year he could have filled in for.
Throw it on the pads for Carey Price.
Yeah.
Yep. But between the goalies for Carey Price out, it's going to be back to Jake Allen and Sam Montembeault. Jake Allen has been outstanding, I think. I think statistic-wise, when you look at his just career, he might have had just a few lows, but he's really kept the pace for the years he's been in the NHL. I think he's well deserving to be a starter.
Some reason him and Brian Elliott I see as the world's okayest goalies, but I would also I very much put Yaroslav Halak on a high pedestal, but I put those 3 guys in the same realm for some reason.
Really?
Even though I see Halak is really good and these 2 guys as okay, I don't know why. The 3 of them are just the same area to me.
Interesting. Jake Allen.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I see starter from the St. Louis Blues before Jordan Bennington. That's why I see it. I never see him as a backup.
Not a backup. I'm just saying they're okay. They're not they're not going to win you anything. They're gonna play the position and do their job, clock in, clock out is the way I see those 3 guys. Yep.
Interesting take. Yeah, I can see where you're going with that, too.
I think I'm probably way off lumping Halak in with those 2 guys for some reason. Something tells me that he doesn't belong in the group with those 3, but I don't know. That's just
a little better than average. Yeah, he does get the job done.
That's what I feel like. They're just the guys that come in and get the job done, and they're as good as that is. That's good. That's great. That's dandy. That's not what wins a cup.
Right. Talk about Scott Wedgwood last season, coming from Arizona Coyotes, got shit done. Went to Dallas Stars, got shit done. Just like a goalie that just get bounced around, but just gets it done. Mm-hmm. For some reason, can't find a home.
I don't know. Wedgwood, I think, is a different animal too. I think he hasn't had the opportunity to prove himself, and when he has, it's been very small sample size. It's almost like he moves at the deadline, really performs for 6-7 games, finds a new home, and then kind of chills. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know. That's where I see that though.
To each their own, right?
Yeah.
So how are we feeling about the Montreal Canadiens here?
Dude, I'm so tempted to bump them up again, but I've already shifted them once. They're going to sit in the 7th seed for me.
Oh, okay. Yep. I was thinking about bottom number two, but 7th seed as well.
Right. I kind of want them in the 6th.
They're a dead last. I'm a Montreal Canadiens guy, just wanting to see him like come up, and I think they're going to go from dead last to at least 7th spot here.
I think they'll be 7th spot in their division too, but I don't think they'll be as close to dead last as they were. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I think they'll have more points compared to some other teams.
Mm-hmm. I think they'll be getting just a slow increase, like better.
All right, we're getting down to the wire here. We only got 3 more teams to cover. You got the interesting spots to fill too. I like this.
Mm-hmm. Running down to the wire here. All right, so we're going to go from the Montreal Canadiens to the Ottawa Senators. The Ottawa Senators were 7th in the Atlantic with a 33-42-7 record, which was 73 points. 13th in the East and 26th in the league last season. Their head coach is DJ Smith. So the Ottawa Senators lost Chris Tierney, Adam Gaudette, Victor Mata, goalie Matt Murray, goalie Philip Gustafson. That's all of them. Connor Brown. They signed Claude Giroux, Josh Norris, Matthew Joseph, Eric Brandstrom, and Timmy Jimmy Stutzel. Signed this week to an 8-year, $66.8 million contract, $8.3 million AAV. Loved this. I think all the internet loved it too. Notable UFAs, Alex Formenton, 18 goals and 14 assists last season, and Tyler Ennis, 8 goals and 16 assists last season. I kind of want to see both of them come up. I think, I'm thinking about someone else. No, I was thinking about Alex Formenton. I think he was up there with like one of the best players in shorthanded goals. I think he's got like 16 or some crazy shit. But their trades here, they've made a few, so buckle up here. The Senators traded their 2022 first-round, second-round picks, as well as their 2024 third-round pick to the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for Alex DeBrincat. They traded Matt Murray, the 2023 third-round pick, and 2024 seventh-round pick to the Toronto Maple Leafs in exchange for future considerations. They traded goalie Philip Gustafson to the Minnesota Wild in exchange for Cam Talbot. I think they made away with that. Cam Talbot wanted to move after Fleury took that starting spot in Minnesota, so I want to go back to that. Lastly, they traded Connor Brown to the Washington Capitals in exchange for the 2024 second-round pick. So a lot of these were trading picks and picking up some picks along with some goalies here. I honestly think they fucking made away with that Philip Gustafson-Cam Talbot trade. I think Cam Talbot might be better goalie in my eyes.
Yeah, I agree, and I think moving on from Matt Murray too is probably a smart move.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they kind of ate it when they initially traded for him, but that's a decent gamble. I would have probably traded for him back then too. The one thing that I just wanted to chime in on too, thinking back on it, like being traded as a player for future considerations has to be the most disrespectful. Like, put that on the bulletin board, motivate me for the rest of my life, kind of shit. Like.
Right.
You get the news like, oh, we actually traded you over to this team, blah, 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 right? It's like, oh, well, who'd you trade? What'd you get for me kind of thing. They're like, future considerations. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you got nothing? You just wanted, you either wanted to get me the fuck out of this organization or you think I'm worth nothing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's got to be something that Matt Murray's putting on the bulletin board, putting like a way better team in front of him this season and saying like, fuck those guys.
That might be a like fire under your ass type of shit.
Has
like,
to be.
Hey, listen, like I know I haven't been playing up to my potential in a while now, and the fact that I am now this goalie that won the Stanley Cup to a guy that is worth so little that I can just be traded to future considerations. Yeah,
I think that alone would make me circle the game on the calendar when Toronto plays Ottawa. You know what I mean? As Matt Murray, I'd be like, fuck those guys.
Down.
I'm starting that night. I don't give a shit.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like the way I like how Ottawa looks there, even though they're seventh in the division last season. But they picked up. I like this Alex DeBrincat pickup. I think a lot of teams are gonna be what's the word I'm looking at? Picking up a bunch of players from the Chicago Blackhawks because Chicago Blackhawks
having a yard sale.
Oh my God, you can pick up whoever the hell you want. Jonathan Toews is up there too if you want him. But DeBrincat, loved him on the Chicago Blackhawks here. So with the Chicago Blackhawks, he had 41 goals, which is actually team best, and 37 assists last season, which is a career high with the Blackhawks. So I mean, great pickup for the Ottawa Senators. So again, this guy is just I don't know. This organization is kind of looking pretty good after this offseason.
I think it's another puzzle, man. Like they got all these pieces. They got to make sure that they click together, and I can't get in on them. Like they are a do nothing for me kind of team. Very boring kind of, to watch. But I am gonna put it out there right now that I guarantee I'm gonna watch 3 Ottawa Senators games this season because I don't know shit about this team. And I really want to dive in a little deeper on them and watch how they play. A guy like Matthew Joseph on the third line, I'm very interested in him. Prospect from Tampa Bay, I believe. Drake Batherson, another pretty big stud around the league, but I don't know too much about him. Kind of flies under the radar. And just to see how these top 2 lines click together with Claude Giroux sliding in with Stützle and DeBrincat, like, I don't know. I need to shape up on this team. I don't have any interest in doing it just because. They don't do it for me. You know what I mean? Something about all of these Canadian teams, any of the Canadian teams, just like there's no real fire, no real interest and desire to me. Other than I'll say the Toronto Maple Leafs. That team looks so interesting on paper, but I fucking hate the Leafs. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like I don't know. I can't stand the drama, the flair, the show, the lights. I don't know.
The more we talk about this, the more I'm kind of like biting my hat here with where I have him on the list because I'm just thinking of I watched a few highlights from the Ottawa Senators this afternoon, and
dude, you got to be kidding me.
Anton Forsberg, what?
You have spots 1, 2, and 8 open.
Yeah.
So you're saying you put him too high or too low?
Too low.
All right, good. I thought you put him in the top 2. I was like, Jesus Christ.
No.
I would have to sign off right now and leave.
Yeah, see you later. Anton Forsberg was just the guy that came in to fill in for Matt Murray's shoes there because Matt Murray could not get it done. I can't remember who the hell they were playing. I think it was Ottawa Senators versus the New York Rangers. And the Senators just looked great all around against the Rangers. It was just Matt Murray just letting in like these softies. And I'm like, oh, as a team that is so fucking deflating. Like, I understand like having like a great just chemistry with your team, but your goalie cannot get the job done. So now the fact that Matt Murray's gone, you have Cam Talbot that can get shit done, and then you have Antoine Forsberg, who proved last season that he could be that backup to get stuff done too for the Ottawa Senators. I think we're going to see a different team for the Ottawa.
And you know what's funny? It's the mirror image of Matt Murray going to the Maple Leafs. Cam Talbot coming over from the Wild is circling the game against Minnesota because he's like, you think Fleury's a starter over me? Fuck you. I'm going to go start in Ottawa.
Yep.
And I'm going to circle that game on the calendar and beat you guys, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yep, 100%.
I think there's a lot of different storylines that are going to come to fruition this season, too.
A lot of redemption arcs.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I'll say where I have him now. I have him in 8th in the Atlantic, and I'm kind of, now I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of regretting that spot.
Yes and no. I mean, I have them 6th, but at the end of the day, there isn't too much that separates any of these teams, I'll say. Like last season, you saw it. Here's the standings. Like I said, those 3 that are 5, 6, 7.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even above that, there's an 8-point gap between 2, 3, and 4. The Canadians were just a suck tank, and the Panthers, you couldn't reach them. So I just think that there's a lot of room for these teams to flip-flop a tiny bit. So, and even the tiny shifts can move them from 4 seats lower to 4 seats higher. So
this might be a team that's going to shock one of us.
I have them in the 6th seed, so we kind of got our bases covered a little bit, you know?
It's gonna.
I definitely don't think they're making the playoffs.
No, I don't think
so.
So
I think we're pretty safe.
Yeah, I think they still got a few seasons behind them before they can even like grasp just getting into the playoffs, you know?
But I do think that I am going to be a man of my word and watch 3 Senators games this season.
Okay.
Just because it's a team that could be interesting. You know what I'm going to do?
Definitely Ottawa versus
I was just going to say Ottawa, Toronto, and Ottawa, Minnesota are now on the list.
Yep.
And now I just have to pick a third game, and they probably play those teams again, but I'll switch it up a little bit, you know?
2 Ottawa Canadians.
Montreal? Why?
I don't know, because they're like 2 of the worst.
That's a good point. A good good comparison to see who's further along the rebuilding process.
Because you can't really compare. Like, if you watch, like, say, last season, you can't really compare watching, like, a Florida Panthers Montreal Canadiens game. You're just like, no, it's even better.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're watching, like, again, the Montreal Canadiens versus the Ottawa Senators the last season, you'd be like, oh, okay, I could see where they're missing, what they need, you know?
Yeah, it's good. So I got my 3 games. I'm gonna watch those, and maybe I'll do a little review action for you fans, so you know that I actually watched and kept my word.
Love it. Got to write that down, date it. Maybe I should do 3 specific games too and do the same thing.
Yeah, maybe pick a different team though. Maybe a team that you don't like really give a shit about that you think like maybe I should this season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that's me with the Senators. Like, I have no interest in them.
Yeah.
But now on paper, I'm like, they're kind of interesting. Like, I should check them out, you know?
Mm-hmm. All right, so we got 2 teams left here. Let's jump into it. The Tampa Bay Lightning. Kind of falling down here. They were 3rd in the Atlantic with a 51-23-8 record, which is 110 points. 5th in the East and 8th in the league. Their head coach is John Cooper. They lost Andre Palat, Jan Ruda, and Ryan McDonough. They signed Ian Cole from the Hurricanes and Vladislav Nemesnikov. They re-signed him to a 1-year deal. They traded they had one trade here. They traded Ryan McDonough to the Nashville Predators in exchange for Philip Myers and Grant Mismash. Love that name. Love that last name here. So, not a lot of moves here from Tampa Bay Lightning, and it goes back to, I think, what I said in the beginning of this episode, where they're a team. They are a playoff team. As long as they can get in. As long as they can get in, we're like, let's do it.
They have everything that they need, man. They got the grit, they got the grime, they got the pieces of shit in Corey Perry, they got the Pat Maroon punch you face in, they got skill, they got the blue line, they got the goalie. Like, they're fucking good, man. Let's win this division. First seed. I don't think there's too much that I can really say on the Tampa Bay Lightning.
No, they're gonna come in hot. They're just gonna get the job done here. It's not gonna be first. It's not gonna be second. But they're gonna get the job done. And they're going to just, like, take their time, save up their energy, and then when the playoffs hit, they're going to be like, it's playoff time, baby.
Yeah,
We're going to raise the cup again. We're going to be good to go.
Boys of summer, that's what that is.
Yeah, I actually wanted to bring something up, too. So Patrick Maroon, when I was looking him up, 134 penalties and minutes here. Second most in the NHL. This dude needs to stay out of the box or stay in it. I don't know.
No, that's his role, dude. That's what he's doing. He's pissing people off. He's getting under their skin. He's, laying the big bodies, the hits. When a guy like that comes in and trucks one of your star players, what do? You go over, you drop the gloves, you fuck him up. And nowadays in the NHL, you don't drop the gloves. You just grab him, face wash him. You guys both go to the box for 2.
Yeah.
Add it to the stat sheet. Pat Maroon's doing his job by putting up PIMs. That's what I think.
He's got a massive fan from last year. Remember the dude
Big Rig.
Big Rig.
Big Rig Jr.
Just sitting there, like the Pat Maroon Jr. I just thought about that. It's a cool memory that just came back. I just love the photo. How he doesn't know he's getting photographed. Just like big dude, beard, just like a bear in his
the fake long hair too.
This is the Lightning that I want to see. Thank you, Pat Maroon.
He makes the everyday fan feel like they could be in the NHL. He's the Tampa Bay Lightning Phil Kessel.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that comparison.
Right.
Yep.
Different role, different kind of player, but all
right,
kind of unfit.
Maybe this will be post picks now that now I'm bringing it up here. All right, Corey Perry here, possible 4th cup run. Is he going to win the cup finally this year?
Oh no, he can't do that. That's an easy no. He's not getting the cup this year. He is cursed. He is Joe Thornton. See you later. He's lucky he got his in Anaheim.
They need to trade him. They'll win.
He won't win if he gets traded. Maybe that's why he's not moving this year. He's like, fuck, dude, it's not working.
I'm talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning. They got to trade him. He's bad news.
Oh yeah. You're right. Okay, I was reading it as he needs to get off the team and go somewhere else so he can win.
So that the Tampa Bay Lightning can win.
He thinks no, I can't move because if I trade, I'm not going to win. If I stay now, I'll win a cup. Come on, hockey gods.
Come on, 4th time's a charm. We'll see.
That's what happens when you're a scumbag your entire career. You don't get a cup. Well, you did in Anaheim, but
I didn't really realize how much of a scumbag he was until I was watching that outdoor game. Remember, he got kicked out almost instantly. I was like, oh, wow, I forgot about this kind of Corey Perry. But now he's trying to be the good guy and win the Stanley Cup.
He's not trying to be the good guy.
Not working.
He's being the worm still.
No. Yeah, I noticed that too in last playoffs. So it's kind of
that's his role. He knows what he's doing. It's fine. It is what it is. He's Sean Avery status. It's all right.
Yep. But let's go talk about Andrei Vasilevsky here. So he has surprisingly, I was looking up his stats here, and it's to him low, to us it's no, you're still better than most goalies in the NHL. He had a .916 save percentage, which surprisingly was his career low. Imagine that being your career low.
Wow.
.916 save percentage is your career low.
That's insane.
That's nuts.
That's a wild stat. That's really cool that you found that.
That is insane. 2.49 GAA, 39-18-5 record. Vasilevsky's still fucking getting it done.
Wow.
Isn't that
916
weird?
is a career low.
And he's still better than most goalies in the NHL.
Hall of Fame, dude. Certified. Stamp it now.
Stamp
Early
it.
induction.
Give
He doesn't even need
cup.
to retire.
Give
He's just
the
in.
cup. And here we go with Brian Elliott, who we were talking about. That's his backup. 2.43 GA, .912 save percentage with
Still
11.43.
decent.
Still decent.
I say it's a team in front of him, and I think that he has performed so slightly above average.
He has.
That teams like gravitate to him and say, that's our backup, that's our guy.
Yeah.
And he knows his role. He knows where he needs to be. But he just keeps getting on to better and better teams every time he moves. That like just increases his stock value, you know?
Again, going back to the St. Louis Blues here, he was a starter there. And I think he got to a point where just like, I can ride the pine for a few teams here. And with just his veteran, him being a veteran, knowing what it takes to be a starter, I think he knows his worth. He knows he could be a backup and get the job done. And that's what makes him better. Like, would you say he's better than Yaroslav Halak?
No.
Whoa. Halak's better than Brian
I think
Elliott?
So. Yeah, I think so. In my eyes. I have a very jaded vision of him. It's just different.
Interesting.
Pick another goalie. I'd like to do that again.
Like a backup?
A Brian Elliott compared to someone else.
A Brian Elliott compared to Philip Gustafsson?
He's better than him, yeah.
I'm trying to think of like another backup goalie that I don't know, you would know. Oh, Scott Wedgwood.
Yeah, he's better than him.
Interesting.
You agree with me on all those? Except the Halak one?
Yeah, the Halak one is just like the real iffy one there. I feel like Brian Elliott's better than Yaroslav Halak. But we have stats for that. And I don't have the stats on hand.
We'll check it out. We'll check it out off air and see how dumb I am.
Or how dumb I am. We'll see what happens.
No, it's usually me. It's okay.
I just think Brian Elliott, for all those reasons, like I said, is just the better. But now that we talk about Yaroslav Halak, he's kind of like the same, you know? I wonder if like they're almost dead even in stats.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's going to be interesting. But, I absolutely nothing really to say about this.
There's not much to it, man. They're just going to compete. They're going to be that team. They're still kind of the same team. They swap out a couple minor pieces. I mean, Andre Palat's a big piece, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But he's not big in the grand scheme of things. And with the team that the Tampa Bay Lightning is, they're going to trade Andre Palat. He's going to be a first-line player somewhere else. On this team, he could be second or third, you know?
Like, I loved Ryan McDonough because they got rid of him, too. I loved him in the New York Rangers, but his stats have really fallen. And I think it's really stayed the same because of a team like Tampa Bay Lightning. And I think they realized that we kind of got to move from here, you know?
Yeah.
If we want to win. But and Ruda, too. I think I could place him, too, as Ryan McDonough. But the only really big loss, as you just said, is Andre Palat. And they picked up Ian Cole, which I think just fills his shoes almost like
it
instantly.
does, but not this. I don't know. I think that's definitely a step down, but not enough to impact the team. You know, Ian Cole can definitely do what Andre Palat did.
Yeah.
I just don't think to the same extent.
But
I have them as the number 1 seed this year. I have them taking it.
Okay. I have them as the second
seed. All right,
falling down a bit. So we have our last team coming up. You ready for this? You ready for the Toronto Maple Leafs?
What a shocker, Matt! I can't believe you.
You know, maybe the listeners haven't been paying attention, but you know. So let's get into it here. This is the last team for the Atlantic Division. The Toronto Maple Leafs were second in the Atlantic with a 54-21-7 record, 115 points. Third in the East and fourth in the league with head coach Sheldon Keefe. So here we go. They lost a few players here. They lost Peter Mrazek to the Blackhawks, Colin Blackwell again to the Blackhawks, goalie Jack Campbell, Ilya Lyubushkin, Ilya Mikheyev, and Andrei Kosh. They signed goalie Ilya Samsonov from the Capitals, Nicholas Aube-Kubel, Adam Gaudette, Cal Yankrok, and Pierre Engvall. Notable UFAs is actually Jason Spezza, another big name just like Joe Thornton. He had 12 goals and 13 assists last season. The 39-year-old entered the league in 2002 with the Ottawa Senators. So we might be seeing a Jason Spezza retirement, or if someone could give him like one more year here too. So they have two trades here.
I am pulling my hair out while you talk right now.
Why?
I am so fucking baffled that you have these guys first.
Oh my God! Can we talk about this after I do the trades?
Dude. Like, I can't sit here any longer. This is insane.
I have the Toronto Maple Leafs in first.
Oh, you have them winning the division?
I have them winning the division.
Oh, after moving on from Mrazek and Jack Campbell.
Yep.
And now they have Matt Murray.
and Ilya Samsonov.
Oh my God, you're fucking insane.
I know it sounds weird.
Oh.
Let's talk about it. Let me do the trades first.
I can't sit here any longer.
You
I gotta
ripping
go.
your hair off?
I am, dude. This is insane.
Oh, okay.
This is the hottest take I've ever seen in my life.
Hot take right now. We'll see how it'll look in a couple months from now. So the Leafs traded goalie Peter Mrazek and the 2022 first-round pick to the Chicago Blackhawks in exchange for the 2022 second-round pick. That pick was Fraser Minton from the Kamloops Blazers of the WHL. The Leafs also traded future considerations to the Ottawa Senators in exchange for our guy, goalie Matt Murray, the 2023 third-round pick and 2024 seventh-round pick. So they got some picks there, too. So let's talk about Austin Matthews real quick because the Rocket, man. 60 goals, which is most in the league, and 46 assists. He's tied for fifth in the league in points with 106, tied for third in the league in power play goals with 16. Just Austin Matthews can get it done. Actually, there's like two other things that I was going to put in here, but I'm like, no, that we already get a list going with this guy. I mean, just look at these guys, man. Just look what they have here. All right, you picking that up? Morgan Riley here, 10 goals and 58 assists, career high and tied for fifth in the league among defensemen. Also sixth in the league among defensemen in points with 68 points. This is a team that can get things done. I think Matt Murray. I'm going to do one more statistic for you because you're over there just still pulling your head over there. You're shaking
I am
your head
befuddled,
right
dude.
now.
I just can't. I can't. I don't respect you anymore.
All right. Matt Murray had a little bounce back season with a 3.05 GAA. The previous season, he was 3.38. And then he also had a .906 save percentage, where the previous season was a .893.
Ooh.
He also had a 5-12-2 record last season. This is a guy coming from the Ottawa Senators, although I just kind of shit-talked him when we were talking about the Ottawa Senators. And then they picked up Ilya Samsonov for a 3.02 GA, .896 save percentage, and 23-12-5 record last season. So, goaltending's not looking good. But this is a all-offensive team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. And, they were second league last season.
Yes, I agree. They were. And
Second
I think
not the league, sorry.
I think any team that moves on from both of their goalies, any team that moves on from both of their goalies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And even if they bring in the two best goalies, well, I shouldn't say that, right? If they brought in like Vasilevsky, Shesterkin as your 1 and 2, they're going to do better. You bring in like two, I don't know, 8 through 16 goalies, number 8 through number 16 statistically.
Right.
You bring in two of those goalies from whatever two you had before, I don't think that you can be as good as you were the season before. You've just changed so much about the team, so much about the locker room, how a goalie plays with the defenseman, the forwards, everything. Regardless of all that, right? Like we'll go for like row by row on this one, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna tell me if it's a good thing or a bad thing. The lines as we go. Michael Bunting, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner. Good or bad?
Good.
Alexander Kerfoot, John Tavares, William Nylander.
William Nylander, Tavares, I'd say 2 out of 3 there.
No, just like the line in general. Good or
just
bad?
good,
right? Pierre Engvall, David Kampf, Kalle Jarnkrok. Potentially bad, right? Potentially bad.
Yeah.
Wayne Simmons, Adam Gaudette, Nicholas Aube-Kubel.
Aube-Kubel, like Wayne Simmons is gonna get that job done, just like what we were talking about. Who's the guy? Andre Palat that we're talking.
That's potentially good. I'll give you that. It's a potentially good fourth line. That's where I'll call that.
Mm-hmm.
Morgan Riley and Timothy Liljegren on defense.
Yeah, I mean he played his first full NHL season last season, so
potentially bad.
Potentially
bad, right?
Okay. Yep.
Jake Muzzin, TJ Brody.
Okay. Yep. Good guy. Local guy.
Jake Muzzin is like the scapegoat of the Toronto Maple Leafs. They fucking hate him. Potentially bad.
He only played 47 games last season, but go
Mark Giordano, one of the worst players in the league last season. Justin Hall. Bad. And now in net, we have Matt Murray and Ilya Samsonov. I don't see how this team can get it done. Yes, I agree that the top 6 are very good. But, dude, you think they're going to win the division?
They put money into the top 2 lines.
Oh, yeah, they did, which isn't smart. You got to spread it out. You got to spread the wealth. You can't pay one guy $10 million and then fill up a roster of $750K guys.
Well, I'm going to throw a curveball at you even more.
Yeah.
I can compare Matt Murray to Darcy Kemper right now.
They're the same?
In a certain sense. Put Darcy Kemper back on like some team that's like 6th, and you're going to see Matt Murray. Whereas Matt Murray is going to be that Darcy Kemper on the Colorado Avalanche.
No, if you put Matt Murray on the Avalanche, they are finishing in outside of the playoffs.
Think so?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. I think it's the guys in front of him that's going to help him out.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too. The guys in front of Matt Murray aren't Cale Makar. There isn't a good defenseman on this team, really. No offense to the guys.
Right.
Morgan Riley, Timothy Liljegren is your top line. Muzzin, Brody, Giordano, and Hall. They don't really have any defensemen, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think he has a good team in front of him. He has good forwards. If he's going to win a game, it's going to be 7-6. And if he's going to lose a game, it's going to be 8-0. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't see. I can't, dude. And with all of that, I still put them in the third spot.
Wow.
I still think they're a good team, but man, this is another. I wouldn't even call it a puzzle piece. It's just Toronto's gonna Toronto at the end of the day. Wow, I was baffled that you put them first.
Baffled.
I would have rather have seen Tampa and Ottawa 1 and 2.
That's my hot take.
Oh, that is a hot take.
I needed a hot take for these picks.
That's good. Yeah,
This is
I
my
like
hot
it.
take.
Yeah, it had me fucking thrown for a loop.
It
Jesus
did.
Christ.
That's my hot take. Mainly because again, last season they were second in the Atlantic, and I'm like, you know what? What if I throw them first, even with all this going on?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I've thrown some gambles out there too. You know what I mean? But we do still need a post picks now.
Ooh.
We still haven't come up with one, and we are through the breakdowns.
Yeah, that's right.
And we do have to go over our 1 through 8 too, just so the listeners can recap.
So
and
let's do the
understand
picks
where we are.
first. What was the one that you had?
Do what picks first? Like our order?
No. The post picks. What was the one that you had?
Is Florida going to be in on the playoffs? One that I mentioned to you off the air beforehand. Keith Kincaid is the third string goalie for the Bruins. Will he play an NHL game this season?
I kind of like that. I kind of like the Kincaid one. Want to do that?
Yeah, sure. Will Kincaid play an NHL game?
An NHL game this season.
If you want some stats on him, I can pull that up real quick.
I don't think he played last season, if I'm
He did.
mistaken. Oh, he did?
So he, in his career, we're starting in 2014. I'm not going to bore you with the numbers after this. Ready? 19
Devils?
games. Yeah, Devils. Devils for 5 years, Canadians for 1, Rangers for 2. 2014, 19 games. The next year, 23, 26, 41, 41, so split with the Devils. 2019, 2020, so he hasn't missed a season yet. 6 games with the Canadians. He got bumped down and then traded. And 2020, 2021, he played 9 games for the Rangers. Last year, he played 1 game for the Rangers. But he has played every year consecutively since 2014.
Now that it'd have to be Jeremy Swam and Linus Hallmark kind of, or
I'm thinking just injury. Like that could be the reason to call him up.
Yeah.
And I don't know. COVID, you name it.
COVID.
I think he is going to play 1.
Oof. Damn it. Are we talking about? Let's be even more specific here. NHL season games, because a lot of times like NHL preseason they'll throw these in there. So
Oh,
NHL
no,
season.
not preseason. In
Okay,
an NHL game, like they don't put the preseason stats on Hockey DB,
Yeah,
you know?
I will say
He played, just so you have the stat too, 1 game for the Rangers last year, 2 goals against, so a 2.0 GAA, and a .935 save percentage on 29 shots.
here's my thought. So a lot of times teams toward the playoffs that are going to make the playoffs, they give goalies a break. But normally they'll just like put in, say Jeremy Swayman is going to be there. They might give him like the night off. Here's
I feel like you don't see that as often anymore. Like, they'll just play the backup rather than like, all right, so yeah, I'm talking about play. Like, he can't
That's what I'm saying. Like,
he can't be
he's on the
Swayman on
bench.
the ice and Kincaid on the bench. That
Yeah.
doesn't count. He's got to play.
He's got to play. I don't think he's going to play a season.
You don't think so?
I don't think he's
All
going to
right,
play this
you
season.
going with no? I'm going
Yeah.
with yes. I just think the fact that he has 1 game last year and hasn't missed since 2014, like, let's keep this ball rolling.
Yeah, I think he's going to be sitting with the Providence Bruins
Yeah.
next season.
His helmet was sick, though. We should throw an image of that right here, a little Happy Gilmore throwback.
Yeah, that was pretty sick.
I thought it was funny.
If I was ever going to do like a Bruins like throwback mask, it'd be the Andy Moog one. You know, Andy Moog, sorry. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Old Bear.
Yep.
Tuukka Rask kind of had it, but just kind of a more.
Yeah.
What am I trying to say?
I do like his
Rare.
Instagram handle, too. I think it's Blockade1, but it's Kaid.
Yeah.
Like his last name. I think it's got a 1 at the end of it, but I think it's a really cool Blockade Kincaid. It's cool.
I like Keith Kincaid.
I do too. Yeah, I think he could be a better
Fell by the
goalie than he is.
wayside. Yeah. But want to get down to the nitty gritty here and go through our 1 through 8.
Yeah, let's do it. You want to do yours first? Or you
Let's
want me
do
to
it.
do mine?
Yep. So I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna go 1 through 8 here. So in first, which is gonna we're just gonna get Chris here to shake his head. The Toronto Maple Leafs. That's my first. Look at you over there shaking your head.
SMH, my friend.
In second, I have the Tampa Bay Lightning. In third, I have the Boston Bruins. In fourth, the Buffalo Sabres. In fifth, the Florida Panthers. In sixth, Detroit Red Wings. Seventh, Montreal Canadiens. And eighth, dead last, I have the Ottawa Senators.
And for my list, I have Tampa Bay, Florida, Toronto, and Boston. And my bottom four, Detroit, Ottawa, Montreal, and Buffalo. So a big swing for Buffalo, where you have the 4 and I have the 8. I think that's and a big swing for Florida, a 2 versus a 5 there.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else is kind of within 2 spots of each other. Yeah.
Okay.
Man, that's wild to me.
That's wild.
Dude, Buffalo, Toronto, and Florida. Those are going to be interesting for us to check out towards the end of this season.
Mm-hmm. Those are the big ones.
Wow.
Where'd you have the Leafs again? Sorry.
The Leafs I have third, so they're still in the playoffs. They're still
there.
definitely a contender. But to give them the fucking...
First in the Atlantic.
All right, career stats. Yaroslav Halak. A 2.49 GAA and a .916. And you said Brian Elliott's better, right? And
Brian
I said
Elliott's
Halak was better?
Yep.
All right, so 2.49916.
Yep.
You writing it down?
Yep.
Brian Elliott. Funnily enough, too, same exact age.
Really?
Yeah, 37 years old. They were also teammates in St. Louis for a bit.
Oh, shit.
Brian Elliott.
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
Career 2.53 and a .910. Slight edge to Halak, dude.
Holy shit.
Slight edge.
Wow.
Elliott did have the Philadelphia Flyers to drag. Actually, his stats didn't really get that bad. They kind of did last year. 3.06 and a .889, and the year before, a 2.87 and an 8.99 with the Flyers.
So for all listeners here, because we're seeing it, maybe kind of skimmed by it here. So Halak's got a 2.49 GAA. Elliott has a 2.53 GAA. And then Halak's got a .916 save percentage. Elliott has a .917 save percentage. They're at the cusp there.
Yeah, and they both kind of suitcased a little bit. They bounced around. But ready for this one? You're going to like this. Halak only had 1 year where he was below a .900 GAA, and it was a .899 with the 2012-13 St. Louis Blues. So he was like, every year in his career, he's been above 900. Elliott has had a .894, an 891, and an 899 and an 889. 4 seasons below 900.
Wow.
So I don't know. They're very, very close, and I don't think I was wrong to put them all in the same category, but something about it just tells me Halak is better. I'm going to jump over to Jake Allen, too, while we're doing this. He's 32, so he's got 5 years younger than these guys, of 2.6 and a .911, which makes him the worst of the 3, right?
Yeah.
2.6 and a 911.
Oh, 2.06 and a point.
No, 2.60.
Oh, 2.60. Okay.
And he has never had a below 900 save percentage.
Wow. Yeah.
Only with 2 teams, too. Not as much of a suitcase as I thought, too. I feel like Jake Allen's a name that I thought kind of bounced around a bit. Just the Blues and the Canadians.
That's interesting. Yeah, so Jake
They're
Allen's,
all about the same.
Yeah, Jake Allen's the worst of the 3. That's interesting. Elliott's the best one. But not by much, though.
Yeah, it's very close.
Very close.
But goalie stats do tend to get very close like that. I don't know. I feel like Halak is like there's something about the way he plays like Elliott and Allen have the clock in, clock out mentality of a guy that's trying to just go home and fuck off. Yaroslav Halak has the clock in, clock out of like, I'm here to get my fucking job done. You know what I mean? For a purpose. You know, that's my mindset.
That's your mindset on it?
Yeah. And it's not because he played for the Bruins. I mean, he was here for what, a year or 2?
Yeah.
I just liked the fact that guy can be a suitcase and bounce around as much as he can and just continually pound the pavement and get the job done.
Halak shocked the shit out of me. I think when we first started the podcast here, or even before, I remember the Bruins picking Halak up, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, he seemed kind of old,
so many better options.
Yeah, seemed kind of suitcased at the time, like not too great, but I'm pretty sure they won the trophy that year too.
And he shocked the shit out of me with how well Halak played for the Bruins.
Yeah.
Shocked. So
team in front of you too, I think. The Bruins looked really strong defensively that year, I think, that he won that trophy. Because I feel like last year they weren't very strong defensively. Like there were a lot of question marks and holes, and that's why we got Lindholm.
Oh yeah.
But like the year that Halak and Rask were starting, like I think they look very strong defensively.
Ooh. Interesting. I like how we finished that with the Elliott.
Yeah.
Answered some questions for everyone too.
Yeah.
I can't believe how wow. That's just me just thinking out loud too. I was like Elliott, and then when you brought up Halak, I'm like, they seem the exact same, and they are.
Yeah, but you knew something was off. You were like, no. But you
Elliott's
also
better.
thought like it was Elliott and Allen, and then Halak below.
Yeah.
And I was the other way where I
about
was
it,
like, I don't know. It's also just like perspective too. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? They're probably like the same fucking goalies.
Oh yeah. Interesting. This is gonna live in my head rent free for this weekend. By the way, just gonna like start looking up like all three of them. Just like
And now you're gonna be like, but what about this guy? Let's throw him
highlights.
into the mix.
Yeah,
Throw
this
Darcy Kemper in. Who's he got?
this season. Yeah. Just gonna go down like a rabbit hole. Be like next week we're just gonna start the podcast. So
It's gonna be Charlie Day with all the strings and shit when he's working at the post office. Always Sunny.
yeah. We're just gonna start the episode. Yeah, exactly with that, and be like, yeah, I don't have a division breakdown. I was too busy all week figuring out these stats and shit. So here we go. But with that said, we're done with the East. On
East
to
is
the
done,
West
on
for
to
the
the
next
West.
2 episodes. Ready for that?
Yeah.
I think because we're doing the goalie changes. We're doing the head coach changes, and I'm realizing that majority of the head coach changes all came from the West.
You know why? Because the East was that much better than the West.
Right.
The West is going to be a boring snooze fest, dude. I feel like it's going to be hard for us to rank them because of how bad the bottom teams are going to be. I think we're going to be like 1, 2, 3, bang, bang, bang.
Bang, bang,
And then 4 through 8, we're going to be like, I don't know. Doesn't matter.
The West is so weird. I'll be curious what the fuck Arizona Coyotes look like. Vegas, what the hell are they going to look like coming in because no one wants to sign with them. It's going to be an interesting West, but not too interesting. I feel like
I like that we started with the East, though. I feel like the East is where the attention and the interest is in the league, and the
Right.
West is kind of like, oof.
oof.
We'll see, though.
Let's see what that looks like. But with that said, we're done with the East, and on to the West next week, and on to the West for you tomorrow.
Heading
Tomorrow
out
morning.
west.
Heading out west. You're gonna be the Vegas guy.
Yeah, we got a pool party. We got a table at a club. Bachelor party. It's going to be sick. If I don't come back, it's either very good or very bad. Yeah. I don't plan to gamble all that much. I'm going to gamble a little bit, but yeah, that's about it.
Let me know. Let me know if you hit the casinos.
Yeah, if anyone wants to put in a small business loan, just Venmo me. I'll put my Venmo link in the description below. Just kidding. I'm not going to do that. We got Doctor's Butterscotch.
These are always good.
These are foul, dude. This tastes like drinking butter.
Oh, I didn't think that. I think it tastes like maple syrup.
Yeah, it is kind of maple syrup. It's
Yeah.
almost like syrup, but not maple,
You ever,
which is kind of gross. It's like corn syrup.
you ever see Super Troopers where they do the
Yeah.
maple syrup
Oh,
chug?
God, yeah.
That's what I think of.
That's gross.
Oof. I can't imagine how awful that would taste.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Does it not taste like syrup to you? I get maple syrup every time.
Tastes like syrup, not maple syrup. When's the last time you had maple syrup?
That's a good question. That is a solid question, by the way. I'm really on like a very low sugar thing. Last time I think I had syrup, I shit you not, was like the last time I was at your diner.
Ah, no shit. That's funny.
Because every time at your diner, pancakes is just what I do.
Yeah.
That's how good they are. But
The little diner down the street here is really good, too.
really?
Yeah, it's awesome. Good stuff there.
Like hole in the wall type?
Yeah, but it's almost like upscaled, but it's not expensive.
There's a hole in the wall.
Very nice.
There's a hole in the wall in Boston. I don't know how they did for COVID, throughout COVID, but before I was on this run where I was able to go over there for breakfast. You can do takeout or just sit down, and it's just fantastic. It's so good. It's a little hole in the wall in Boston. You'll find that a lot if you guys, any listeners ever come to Boston, you'll find a lot of hole in the walls. But with that said, you want to call us out?
Yeah, thanks everyone for listening. If there's anything you want to see us cover next episode, let us know. Our links are in the description, and we'll see you all next week.
Bye, guys.
Peace.